Hello, welcome to another episode of Common Chaos Live with me, Christian Rauchenwald, on this quite nice Friday afternoon. I hope you all had a great week and a great day so far. As always, before we jump into this episode, and with that, hopefully some news and answers to your questions, let's get the usual disclaimer out of the way. Everything that I share in this live stream / video is my personal opinion and in no way financial or professional advice of any kind. You should always do your own research, consult certified professionals, draw your own conclusions, and make your own decisions. Besides that, as you may have noticed, I already started the Q&A mode. So if you have a question at the top of the chat, you see something that says, what would you like to know? Submit your question here. You can click on it and then you can submit your question. So the regular chat is used for chatting and the submitted questions are what we're going to answer down the road. Besides that, for those of you that haven't noticed, we introduced a 30-minute countdown timer that's running here so that episodes don't get too long and people that watch the replay also get to actually be able to watch it. And yeah, so whatever we pack in 30 minutes, great. If we don't manage to cover something today, we'll cover it then next week. And with that, I'm going to hide this message and we're going to jump straight into it by going here. Hi, Ori. Hi, Google Coins. Great to have you guys here. One of our users on Discord shared a screenshot. Thanks for that, by the way, from a Pi moderator about the second migration. And the moderator mentioned the second migration of Pi will not take place until we are caught up on first migrations. The core team has not yet done anything with Bonus Pi. The core team will announce when second migrations start. We are talking weeks or months, not days. So while this is, hi Gunther, liebe Grüße nach Graz. While this is also not 100% official information because it comes from a moderator and not from the core team itself, it's already closer to the source and it checks with what I've been saying for the last couple of weeks or even longer, that it's just fair and the right thing to do to first make sure every user gets their first share of coins and then deal with secondary migrations. And it wouldn't be fair to basically give some users that already have coins more coins now, while there's still a couple million users that haven't even been migrated. So that's the first aspect. In connection with that, I also shared, you can find that post, by the way, on my YouTube channel. I shared my personal opinion. If we look at, that I didn't want to close, I actually want to create a new tab, 1 second. If we look at explorepi.info, although the data there is outdated and was last updated on the 1st of March, as we can see, but if we look at the number of migrations, you can see that basically in the previous year we had sometimes 150,000 migrations in a month, in other months 700,000 and so on. And then only this year in January we actually crossed 1 million. And in February we had, apparently according to the blockchain data, 2.8 million. Yes, I see back there in July when I got my first migration, there was also more than 1 million migrations, but overall you can see it's been a very, very slow progress, with a huge increase in January and February this year. Now, obviously, we had some delay with migrations due to the security issues and so on or not security issues, but the rollback of certain migrations to protect users that we covered in the previous stream. So it's hard to say how many users migrated in March, especially since explorepi.info hasn't updated the data since 1st of March, and piscan.io does not have that interface yet that shows you past migration data. But if we go from like conservative estimate, right now the team should be able to migrate around 1 million users per month. At the time of the open mainnet launch, we had 17 million KYZ users and 10 million that were already migrated, which means there were 7 million already with KYZ completed, but no migration. And then obviously, I assume that in the last couple of weeks, a lot of users got back into the app and tried to complete KYZ and so on. So we might have 10 to maybe 15 million users that haven't been migrated yet, but already passed KYZ. Now, if we assume that we migrate 1 million users per month, then that would mean that it would take theoretically, let's say 15 months or 10 to 15 months to get the first migrations done before we get to secondary migrations. Obviously, if we are closer to, like in February, closer to 3 million migrations, then we would be looking at 3 to 4 months to catch up with the backlog before we get to talk about secondary migrations. Yeah, so this is an important point, and I'm honestly admitting it, I'm a little bit frustrated, but not at the core team. I'm frustrated because almost every day on Reddit or in the comments on my videos, I see people then with some conspiracy nonsense, like the core team is on purpose holding back coins and some stuff like that. All of this has been communicated in the past, and what hasn't been communicated could be concluded by simple common sense. So that, for example, every user should first get one migration before users start to receive a secondary migration. That's just common sense if we assume a fair approach as far as the distribution goes of the coins. Yeah. And what also frustrates me a little bit, it might not be you specifically or none of you that's currently watching, but I have a hard time understanding that some of us have been here for a couple of years. So I joined the project, I think in 2020. I don't think it was 2019, but basically I've been around for 5 years with this project. For 5 years, I've watched how first there was a third-party KYC solution. I passed KYC there, then that got scrapped because it became clear that this would be too expensive for millions of users, and the team started to work on their own KYC solution. Then there was the mainnet checklist, then the testnet, then the enclosed mainnet, then waiting for getting the migration for that enclosed mainnet and so on. So I've waited years to reach this point. And during that time, I did not develop any code. I did not develop the nodes. I did not develop the Pi browser. So, I mean, I did more than some other people because I created a lot of content. But we also know that I make money from YouTube videos, even though it's not a lot, but it's still some money I get for those videos. Even this live stream likely will earn me an astonishing $2 in revenue. So it's not like I'm doing it all out of the good of my heart or so. And obviously, if Pi really succeeds, I will have a potentially bigger balance than many other users. So it's not like I'm a saint or something. Yeah. But it took 5 years to get here. And now that we are here, it was clear from day one that when we launched the open mainnet, there might not be a lot of use cases yet for Pi, and that especially now with the open mainnet launch, that now is the time that developers might get more interested in developing apps. But it baffles me that people waited a couple months, a year, 2, 5 years, maybe even 6 years to get here. And now so many people are acting super entitled and impatient about when do I get my next coins? Why is this going or taking so long? Or why is the price dropping? I mean, the coin hasn't barely traded a couple of months. There is not much utility right now, as we know. So the whole price movement is based on pure speculation and positive news, ideally. Yeah. And suddenly nobody has the patience anymore to say, let's wait another year for there to be some utility and see where it goes there. It also especially baffles me, so please don't get me wrong. Every Pi coin you have in your wallet is yours and you do with it what you will. It's your decision, yeah. I'm just sharing my perspective, how I look at it. So if you want to sell them, sell them. If you want to hold them, hold them. If you want to buy more, buy more. Do with it what you will. It's your coins. But it baffles me if we think about that with the current new mining rate, because the mining rate gets lower, just like, for example, in Bitcoin, the difficulty increases and the mining reduces, yeah. Without bonuses, so if you don't have coins locked up, if you don't have referrals, if you don't have 5 users in your security circle, without bonuses, you can earn right now, and not considering future mining rate reductions or potential end of the mining, because that is also something that could happen. Without all those bonuses, so just the base mining rate, you can earn an astonishing 24 Pi in an entire year. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean that you have to work 40 hours for those 24 Pi, but you just push a button once per day and pay attention for a couple seconds, yeah? But why would you sell, if you have 1,000 Pi right now, so let's actually do the math, yeah? So calculator, So 1,000 divided by 24. So it would take you 41 years at the current mining rate. Did I do that right? 24 pi times 41. Yeah. 41 years at the current mining rate to earn those 1,000 that you have right now. If you don't have, again, referrals, run a node and so on. Obviously, there are some ways to increase that. Let's round it down drastically and say it takes you 10 years instead of 41 because you have some referrals or a security circle or you're running a node, yeah? So it takes you super optimistically rounded down 10 years to earn those 1,000 pi again. So why would you sell them right now for $600, $800, $1,000? It just doesn't make sense to me, yeah? Now, don't get me wrong. I do not want to compare Pi with Bitcoin. That's very important. So don't go around and say, I'm saying Pi is the same as Bitcoin, or even worse, that I'm saying it will reach $80,000 or $100,000 per Pi. I don't want to do that, but I want to explain a difference and draw a parallel. Yeah. So obviously with Pi, the difference is we push a button once per day. I'm actually going to switch here so you can enjoy me in my full glory. Yeah. So we push a button once per day, and with that we get basically we earn our share of Pi. Yeah. There is no mining. I know we keep saying mining, but because it's based on the Stellar blockchain, the entire 100 billion supply gets created like this, and you basically just secure your share, which is then from a technical perspective more or less airdropped into your wallet. Yeah. However, if we compare this with Bitcoin in the early days, so nowadays everybody has a phone and can push a button. And if we compare this with Bitcoin in the early days, everybody could just mine Bitcoin on their computer, yeah. And it did not require you to buy expensive hardware or dedicated ASIC miners or stuff like, or have like super expensive GPUs. No, you could on your regular CPU on your cheap computer earn hundreds, thousands of coins, no problem whatsoever. And then over time, the difficulty increased to the point right now where if you don't have dedicated mining equipment, it's most likely not profitable, and you have to spend a huge amount of money. Yeah. In that aspect, Pi Network is the same. Yes, the total supply that eventually could be reached but doesn't have to is much higher. Yeah. So I'm not talking about a supply to price relationship, but I'm talking about the similarity when you see screenshots of, I think I already shared it, 1 second. Let's see if I find it real quick in the Google image search. Yeah, so we already shared it in the past. Just gonna open the image in a new tab so we don't have any distraction surrounding it. Switching back here. So somebody once in 2011 said, I wish I had kept the 1,700 Bitcoin that I bought at 6 cents instead of selling them at 30 cents because now Bitcoin is at $8. Yeah. Now, obviously, 14 years later, Bitcoin added a couple zero to that. And again, I'm not saying that Pi Network will reach $80,000 or whatever. Yeah, we're not talking about price here. But the point is, back then, earning the 1,700 Bitcoin was so super easy that nobody really valued it. Yeah, it's something that I just generated out of my computer because you just ran the mining script in quotes, and you got more Bitcoin. So, or you bought them at 6 cents, and so, oh, you made 5 times your money. That's a good deal. But nobody thought it will be worth more. Yeah. Nowadays, I don't know how long it would take you to mine 1,700 Bitcoin. Yeah? And that in combination, of course, with the much smaller supply and because it was the number one and first cryptocurrency, is why it's valued that high. But again, if we draw a parallel here, so if we apply the same thing to Pi Network, at the moment, your base mining rate is an astonishing 0.0. Okay, we'll have to switch back again so we can use a calculator. Wrong button there. So your base mining rate right now is 0.0029 Pi per hour. So you earn 0.07 Pi in a day. and 25.4, sorry, I had it wrong, 25, not 24, in an entire year. And again, with more users joining, this mining rate will for sure down the road get reduced further, or the mining will eventually stop. So why would somebody sell their Pi coins at a value of, we slipped down quite a bit, we're at spot 18 now, at a value of $1. Earlier today we were at 80 cents, it makes no sense to me. It just, I cannot understand that, especially if you've been with the project for a couple of years. Then you waited a couple of years to earn those coins, and I think it's the same, I think running a Bitcoin miner that runs a month to earn you whatever number of Bitcoin you can earn nowadays, or Satoshis more likely, is the same as pushing a button once per day on your phone. The only difference is that the Bitcoin miner eats up a lot of electricity, and that forces you to invest money not only in the hardware but also in the mining itself, whereas Pi Network doesn't require you to spend any kind of money to buy better mining hardware or to pay for electricity. You just have an app and you push a button. But the principle is the same. You have some way that over time you get a certain amount of coins. And while there are obviously thousands of cryptocurrency out there, and most of them are not really spectacular or unique in any way, Pi Network is actually unique in like a lot of ways. From the top of my mind, the two things that come to my mind instantly is, first of all, with 10 million migrated accounts that had coins in their wallet, although some of them have them locked up and so on, it had a launch on exchanges with a market cap of, I don't know what the highest was, maybe 18 billion. So it launched in the top 15 cryptocurrencies straight away, without requiring a single cent of investment before. Every other project you see out there, doesn't matter if it's Crypto.com CRO or if it's High Dollar that unfortunately failed due to bad management and so on, all of them have ICOs, buy our token, buy our token. Pi Network outranked most of those tokens on day one and did not require a single cent of investment. However, now you would say, well, then where should the value come from? And that's again where I draw the parallel with Bitcoin mining or mining any other coin. So there is a limited supply, even though the final number might be relatively big, which might influence the maximum price. But that's a different topic. But there is a limited supply, and you can only earn so much in a month. There is only so much you can earn. You can obviously spend a lot of time and resources to grow your referral team, but if they don't pass KYZ, then you also cannot earn more. And how much you can earn gets reduced from time to time, which makes it more scarce. And just because you got it for pressing a button instead of running a node or a mining software on your computer like in early Bitcoin days, to me, it's still the same. Sure, nowadays, Bitcoin mining requires a lot of resources and money. But if we think back in the early days, and I still think Pi is in the early days in that aspect, you could just run it and you would hardly notice it in quotes, and you would earn so many coins, but they would be worth almost nothing. And people didn't value them back then. And how many people are there that just regret it so bad that they sold their whatever many thousands of Bitcoin? I mean, even me, I bought 2 Bitcoin or so in 2015. I think it was 215 at around $300 or so, and I sold them a year later. I mean, it's not a lot of Bitcoin, but today that would also be still $160,000 to $200,000. So who doesn't regret that? Anyway, and the second big aspect in that area. So first of all, Pi is different because it has KYZ. It had a great launch because it didn't require an investment. And outside of that, the one thing that sets it apart from every single cryptocurrency on the market, also including Bitcoin, is that every wallet that exists has to be KYZ verified. And the number one argument that you will hear against cryptocurrency, it's used by scammers, it's used by criminals, it's used for money laundering, for human trafficking, to pay for drugs, to pay for assassinations and so on. All of that is addressed. Every country that says crypto is shady because of that or so, and even within Europe where we have regulations like the travel rule and so on, where when you withdraw crypto from your exchange to a wallet, you have to fill in a form that says, are you withdrawing it to your own wallet, to another exchange account, or are you withdrawing it to the wallet of someone else, and who is that someone else? Yeah, all of that is addressed with Pi Network because every wallet is KYC verified, and the only way I can use it for shady things is either if I manage to pass KYC with fake passports or fake IDs, or if I buy the account of an existing user in an anonymous way and that person is dumb enough to sell it to me. So again, all of that comes back to, if you are not desperate for that money, if it doesn't make the difference between starving or being homeless tomorrow, again, do with your Pi what you will. I'm just saying I cannot understand it if you sell at this price, considering how long it would take you to earn those coins back. Yeah. And then there are heroes out there. I can just shake my head. Yeah. So if we switch back here, there are heroes out there. I mean, congratulations if you made some money, if you cashed out and you're happy. Again, it's your Pi. I just cannot comprehend it. But that are like, okay, I sold at $2, I sold at $3, so I can buy back in later, or I'm trading the swings and I'm buying when there's a dip and then I'm selling it higher. Well, congratulations, your constant selling, even though you're buying back later again, is what makes this also possible. Yeah. If you just hold, then there will be less sell orders because you didn't sell here to hopefully buy here again. You didn't sell here to hopefully buy here again. It would also help the price development. Yeah. So again, your choice what you do with your Pi. Maybe everybody that sells them right now in a year, in 5 years, will be the ones that are, I told you so, because it just goes worthless or so. But it's just hard for me to comprehend and piece things together that, again, the time spent and people were patient for so long, and then now suddenly everybody, or not everybody, but so many are impatient. Yeah. Additionally, it baffles me a little bit that for half a year or a year, everybody was like, no more delays, we want to see the open mainnet and so on. And then nowadays I see comments like, oh my God, how could they launch the open mainnet in a time where we have so much uncertainty and tariff wars and so on? Are you kidding me? I mean, again, I don't mean all of you specifically. I'm just sharing my perspective on what I see repeatedly by others and why I think it doesn't make sense. Yeah. Anyway, All for Us, where are you? I cannot see it. Ah, there. Hello, everyone. Hi, All for Us. Everyone, please wish All for Us a happy birthday from all of us, or I wish you a happy birthday from all of us. Yeah. I hope you have a great day. Enjoy it. Yeah. Don't get distracted by the price chart of Pi. And yeah. By the way, Muhammad, I think Irina might have already said, yeah, it is a Q&A. So yeah, I only have one question submitted so far. Surprisingly, it's not about Pi Network and I will not be able to answer it. But Aram is asking, what is your opinion on Ruby Network or Ruby Network? I don't know that project. I haven't looked at it and so cannot say. But in general, it's very easy. We have a lot of, let's switch here. We have a lot of projects, or I covered a lot of projects on my channel. Some of them died along the way, like Sperax Play, for example. Some of them looked more promising than others. Some of the less promising surprised us along the way and so on, yeah. Some of the more promising, like Sperax Play and High Dollar, completely went the way I never thought they could and so on, yeah. But whatever project you're looking at, if it doesn't request you to buy anything, then, and all you have to do is basically sign up, maybe complete KYC and push a button once per day, there's not much you can lose other than a few seconds of your time. Yeah. If investments are required, then you have to be way, way more cautious. But as long as no investment is required, you kind of, worst case, just lose a second or a couple of seconds of your time. I'm pushing the button every day still in B Network, although I have very little hope left for that project, considering that all they do is add more monetizing features to make more ad revenue. But yeah, or Bondex, who is already teasing the third airdrop. So it's the second airdrop they tease in the app, and there's another airdrop in a Telegram bot that they developed. while still not having delivered on the first airdrop, and are by now almost or more than a year already behind the announced exchange listing and so on. But I'm still pressing my button there once per day. Yeah, it doesn't cost me anything. And if they get a little bit of my personal data, like my name, my birth date, and so on, yeah, so be it. I mean, that's like not the end of the world. And as said, I know that there are some countries like the US where, for example, your social security number is a big issue that I would not give out. Yeah. But when we talk about KYC for European users and most other countries, we're talking about passports. And at least in Europe, if you have a picture of my passport, it would not be enough for you to, for example, open a bank account in my name or get a loan in my name. So there is not much risk in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah. Mohammed, is it possible? Yeah, 1 second. Let's try to have to switch here. 1 second. Is it possible for someone to take my Pi balance if he knows my Pi key phrase, but he can't access my Pi account? Yes, of course. Your wallet is separate from your. Let's switch here. Your wallet is separate and independent from your account. So, and just like with every cryptocurrency, all that is needed to access your wallet is the passphrase. If I know your passphrase, I have complete control over your wallet. Yeah. So your passphrase is the equivalent of your online banking username, password, and transaction codes. And it cannot be changed. So I made a video about that, what you should do if your wallet is compromised. Irina can share the link. If you have any coins in the wallet, the best thing you can do now, other than following the steps that are shared in the video that Irina will share with you, is create an account on OKX or BitGet or any of the other exchanges that support Pi and are KYB verified, and move any Pi that are not locked up on that exchange account for now, until the new wallet that you have to create actually gets activated through a second migration. Yeah. That also, 1 second, I will see if I find that second migration. We cover that. That's different. That's yeah, that's different. No, I don't find it. Okay, I think I had another. Oh no, there was actually. That's what I wanted to share. 1 second, we'll have to switch back here again, and then we have to go my saved post because there's something we didn't fit in yesterday, but we still have 3 minutes left, so we can cover it today. And in one of our recent streams, nope, that's the other one. In one of our recent streams, by the way, talking about scams, yesterday we covered a guy on Twitter that has some reach that calls Pi Network a scam, but fails to call out Crypto.com that actually ripped off their initial investors. Yeah, but in one of our recent streams, we covered what I believe to be how to keep your wallet secure, what we are doing, and so on. Yeah, and there was actually, God, where is it now? Yeah. There, Microsoft has discovered a new Trojan called like this, targeting cryptocurrency wallets in Google Chrome browser. The malware attacks 20 different extensions, including MetaMask, Coinbase Wallet, Trust Wallet, OKX Wallet, BitGet Wallet, Phantom, and more. Yeah, which is just a reminder that the best solution in the long run is obviously to have a hardware wallet, but that is also nothing is 1000% secure. Yeah. But just a reminder to properly and securely store your passphrases and to not randomly install things on your, especially when you talk about a computer. On your phone, it's a little bit different with permission management and so on. But yeah, like don't randomly install things on the same device where you also copy and paste your passphrase on occasion. Yeah. So that's that. So Irina might share the link to the video, or already has. So if you're not sure how to keep your passphrase secure, check out the old stream where we covered that, because it's really the most important thing. Sure, right now you might not have many Pi coins in your wallet. Maybe right now they're also not worth that much. But if in 5 years from now they are worth much more, and only then whoever compromises your wallet cleans you out, you're going to be way, way more upset. So it's really important, if you're new to crypto, or even if you're not sure, if you are in quotes, know what's the best way to deal with things. Watch that recording so you see how we are doing it or what we consider safe, and draw your own conclusions then from that. Yeah. Last question for today. I passed the test as validator, I guess, but now I cannot seem to get started. Well, you just have to go to your Pi browser. I'm not going to show the full process, yeah, but I'm already in the Pi browser. And in the Pi browser, you just go to KYZ then, which is somewhere here. And I'm actually gonna not share that screen for a second to check what's next. So when you press KYZ, yeah, so when you press KYZ, you should end up, iPhone again, you should end up on something that looks like this. And then there you can press let's go. And if there are users to be validated, you will see the requests, and otherwise it will tell you congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And you can just press go back to dashboard and you check then again in the future. Yeah. With that, we already unfortunately reached the end of today's stream. Yeah. Yeah, what's it?
It's just funny. You have another worker under your company, crypto miner.
No, I'm not running crypto miners. So yeah, it's yeah. If you're in the, so we live in Germany, electricity is expensive, cooling is challenging in summer and so on. It's just not worth the hassle. So other countries, if you live somewhere in Africa where solar has a good chance to cover 100% of your electricity bills or so, then mining might make sense. But for us here, it's just not worth it. Also from a tax perspective, it's yeah, like not like no worry, just mine the coins and enjoy the money. So we don't run any proof of work miners. Yeah. Anyway, so I'm sorry if today felt a little bit like me ranting or so, but I wanted to share those things, how I perceive certain things. I obviously get a lot of comments on YouTube. I see the conversations on Reddit every day when I browse through to find the content that's worth sharing with you guys. And it's therefore a little bit, yeah, it's kind of like, I just wanted to share it. If maybe you felt like one of those people that are impatient right now or worried about the price or so, in that case, hopefully what I shared with you today gave you a second perspective. Maybe it helps you see the whole thing a little bit more relaxed or so. Maybe you disagree with me, also fine, yeah. Maybe it helps you when you see some comments online by other people, so you know how you can not counter argument, but just explain to them that they probably should just calm down. It took years to get here. If it takes another 1 or 2 years, who cares? Yeah. Especially if we consider how scarce and how hard it is to mine or earn Pi nowadays. Either way, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for stopping by, for regular watching the streams, for being part of our Discord community. And yeah, like, thank you so much for being part of my journey with Pi. And I wish you all a pleasant rest of this day and an amazing weekend ahead. And then we see each other again on Monday for another episode of Common Chaos Live. Till then, bye-bye.